Hello and welcome to episode 1042 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, April 19th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, there are no birds here. How are you doing?
I had some suggestions this week on what animals I should send you.
I hope otter was included because those little dweebs would scurry around. They'd have my.
Is there a lot of water in Texas for them to play with, or
no? But we have a wonderful bathtub that they would excel in. It's a big, spa-looking type of deal. And the Otter channel that Jen and I watch on YouTube, they have an outdoor pool for them, but they got the indoor as well for when the weather's bad because you got to have water on hand. As much as we love otters, we can never have one. The maintenance is through the roof. But if you wanted to send me two to chase around, barefoot with my 20 agility.
The most requested was scorpion.
Okay, thanks, jerks. You want me to get smoked by some scorpions? Oh man, well,
I felt like it should be something faster. I mean, I don't know how fast scorpions
they want me to
are.
Get hurt. You're looking for just hijinks.
I'm looking for comedy. Yeah.
I mean, the Benny Hill music of me running around on something I just can't catch.
It's not going to be as fun if you're like keeled over, like foaming convulsing. No, it's much more fun if you're being chased by something or doing the chasing.
I agree.
So I was leaning more towards squirrels.
Yeah, I think that's a good one as well.
Yeah,
I think you're on the right track. I don't think we're going to have any animals to chase this episode, but that might be our most popular episode.
Yeah,
that was.
If tweets are any indication, then and if you have not listened to last Thursday's episode, you need to go back and go listen. Just go to about minute 5 or 6 and enjoy the next 10 minutes.
Friday's episode was a smash. I will say, by the way, just to close a loop on something from Friday, we actually opened not the funny part of it. We actually opened talking about that Jonathan India hamstring, and he has not returned.
Yeah, so, but they haven't placed him on the IL yet
exactly.
either.
So it's kind of frustrating. I wonder, too late now for people to decide. But I'm like, would you have played him? Did you have that choice anywhere?
I did not play him in the one league I have him in.
Okay,
I just made the decision to skip it and not take a 0. It was a DC, so I had lots of options and stuff.
Okay,
but
that makes sense.
There were some tough lineup decisions this week. I mean, a lot of COVID IL guys, and we know that. They can come back at any minute now. Like it's not
X number of days.
I'll ask you. I had a choice between Lou Trevino, who got thrown on the COVID IL yesterday, along with 5 other Oakland Athletics, or Kyle Gibson in Colorado.
Oh, geez, dude!
For my main event.
I think I'd have taken the shot on Trevino there.
Then that's what I ended up doing. If Kyle Gibson goes out and just balls, I'm gonna. And in one DC, I went the opposite direction, but just so I could play both sides. But
we have to talk about a little something about Coors here because I feel like I got to get your read here. Now I understand that for the most part, it's probably just situational. But the other day we had a discussion about our likelihood of starting guys and how I'm more open, like I'm more liberal with the starts early on, thinking that if my breakouts hit the way I believe, that I'm getting good outings anyway, but I am taking some risk. Whereas you're tightening it up a little bit more. And I will admit that this is not like a breakout up and comer, but I was surprised to hear you say on the pitcher list pod that you started Aaron Nola and Coors. That doesn't seem very conservative. It worked.
It did work. I did not have a lot of options.
Okay. Because I expected, because I started him in a league and I expected to come on and I was going to ask you. So this question was already answered. I was like, oh, wow, they're reading my mind. Because I was going to say, do you have Nola anywhere? Because I started him. Did you? So I found out that you did. And again, I'm not pressing too hard here. It's a little bit more tongue in cheek because
I guess I did have other options.
Let's hear them.
Patrick Sandoval at Houston.
Okay, I would have definitely done that over.
And Descalfani at New York.
See, I didn't have those kind of options. I'd have done both of those in a millisecond.
I mean, here's the thing about Coors. Like, yes, it's not a great place to pitch no matter what time of year, but the only decent time to pitch there is now.
Well, in September when it's cold too.
And I just have a really hard time sitting my second round pick
Okay. Well, that gives me an idea of where the conservatism that you're living in. It's not as tight as maybe I thought then.
It was definitely
a narrow band.
No, I mean, you kind of pick and choose your spots.
Sure.
And it definitely was a consideration. It wasn't like an insta start. Like especially coming off of, the late struggles in his first outing, though it was late struggles, right? Like if they had pulled him like,
in the third.
Well, no, I mean, he was pitching well through, I think, the fifth. And then they left him out there for the sixth, and he got, gave up a 3-run home run. So if they just not let him go in
Aaron Nola we're talking about.
Yes,
and that first start against Oakland, and then the second start was really rough. That was the one against the Mets, 3 1/3, 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 runs, five punches. But then goes out to Coors, 5 1/3, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, 6 hits. Still not great, but took advantage of the Coors weather, took a shot. I took the gamble as well.
What he is sporting right now is like a 63% ground ball percentage.
That's pretty good. So I guess let's put a bow on it then. Where are you on Nola right now? You obviously started him in Coors on a tough decision. How do you feel after 3 starts? Are we doing more of the same this year? Because he has a 5.52 ERA, but a 2.87 Sierra. Now, a 2.5 homer per 9 is not the defense's fault. But where do you come out on things with Nola right now? Like your confidence level. You're obviously starting him, but like how good do you feel about him right now?
I mean, I feel pretty good. He's healthy, which is more than can be said about a lot of other guys right now.
True. True.
Yeah, I'm definitely worried about just the Phillies in general. I think it's the defense. I mean, you saw Alec Baum, have that just brutal game, and then wish
respect
upon
to
a star that he
and
be
the
out
fans though. I thought that was a perfect
and RotoWare for an amazing T-shirt.
But that's always right. We're never not promoting RotoWare's brilliance over there. But they had the shirt right away. But if you didn't see that on Bohm, he had the 3-error day. He gets caught mouthing, "I effing hate this place," and instead of doing some tiptoeing bullshit, he just
owned
said,
it. Yeah,
I said it. Yeah, my emotions got the best of me. I equated it. If you play video games, perfect way to equate it is you're playing the game and you just scream, "I effing hate this game," like 20 times a night on a bad night, but you don't hate the game. You can't wait to play it the next day.
Yeah,
it's that kind of vibe where you just say it. Thankfully, the Philly fans took that at face value because it was the truth. We say stuff like that in the heat of the moment. They gave him a great standing O when he came back.
That probably endears him to them more than like some guy sucking up to Phillies Nation because Philadelphia is a fantastic city.
I love that place. I almost moved there. I had a buddy who lived there. I was dealing cards. I didn't really have anything locked and loaded here in Texas, and I'll tell you the reason that would be obvious for people who know me, it was the weather. You
would not survive.
But I visited him in the winter regularly, and I still loved it. So like it's
an amazing city.
It was close even with the weather, but I was just like, nah.
If I was ever going to move back east, it'd probably be to Philadelphia.
I love that place. I like them. All right. Let's get going. We got some key ads for week 2. I just want to talk through a bunch of them. Some of the guys we've talked about, for example, like Paul Blackburn, just going to talk about what I paid for him and see if you got him anywhere. Don't have to do a deep dive on him anymore. So we're going to kind of go through these a little bit quicker. And then we're going to talk about some potential shallow league cuts. 10s and 12s. We've talked about how it's a little bit of a challenge for you and I playing so many deeper leagues that we see these names and we have a hard time pulling the trigger early because cutting guys like this. And when you hear the names, you'll be like, oh, wow, that's tough. It's not even that you're giving up on them as a player for the rest of the year, but you got to have production. And so you got to cycle guys in, and these might be some tough decisions. So we'll get into those in a moment, but let's talk about the key ads for the week. Taylor Ward was really hot in the fantasy community. A lot of people really jumping in because Joe Madden loves this guy. Now, I believe it was you who told me about the quote about how he's the starting right fielder. This was when he was still hurt, but that he was the starting right fielder over your boy Marsh and Adele. Like they were going to be platooning once Taylor Ward came back, and Joe Madden kept his word. That happened instantly. He came back this weekend. He batted 4th, dropped a combo meal, homer in a steal. Shouts to the 06010. By the way, I respect if other people want to come up with a name. I think promoting just one name for it though is better personally. Like, give credit
I don't
to
know.
where
Did
it's
you
due.
see the list that Sammy Reed came up with?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. Sammy Reed had a list of
I'd like to see that.
10 different.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. But like,
I
it
love
was like,
Sammy.
oh, God, man. Well,
Combo meal is legitimately perfect, though. I'm sorry. Like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I do want to see the list, though. But anyway, Taylor Ward opened with a combo meal. Then he batted third on Sunday and then second yesterday. So he is playing every day, 2 lefties and a righty. He is playing right field every day. Were you in on the Taylor Ward sweepstakes?
I was not. I mean, I wanted to be, but I just could not afford him, apparently. I did not think he was going to go for as much as he did. I mean, he went for a ton in our main event.
In our main, he went for 180 with a 92 backup to Dalton Del Don, who now has $175 left.
Yeah.
I really like Taylor Ward. His other big purchase was Josh Lowe. I'm at a loss for words here because I don't want to roast him, but like, do you think this is the right way to go to try to get 2 big guys that you think are going to be full-time starters, but spending 85% of your budget?
I mean,
or 80, what?
Dalton's a great player.
83%.
I've played with him for now a few years in Barf. He is consistently one of the top teams in that league. However, I think he's going to have some issues because he's pretty much in dollar days for a while now. Like, he can't spend more than a few bucks on players, and that's fine as long as his team stays healthy. If he has any injury issues, he could be in some real trouble. I mean, it's a strategy I've seen other people, employ, and sometimes it works out really, really well because you're getting those fab pickups for the whole year. So if you hit on them, if Josh Lowe becomes a beast, if Taylor Ward becomes a beast, then, you're getting that production for a full season. The problem is, I think that he did it at the same position.
And it's the low one for me at 555. Like, I actually don't mind. Like, if you really love Taylor Ward, like I thought I was high at 63. I was like, I want to try to get him. I wasn't even second. I don't know if I was third either. The runner up was 92. I had 63. So there could have been people in the middle there. Like, that one's okay. But like, what does it take for 555 for Josh Lowe to like pay off? Is it 2020? Is it 2020 230 playing all year? Is that paying off?
I mean, it could. It depends on the rest of your team makeup, but yeah.
No. I think you got to judge it in a vacuum, not in the team context, right? Like, do you think that if I told you that was what you were guaranteed, what would you pay for Josh Lowe? If you knew that that's 1,000% what we were going to get 230.
I mean, I'm never going to spend $500 on any player.
Okay.
It's just never going to happen. I was
that's without knowing anything. What if you knew? What if you knew? Would you not push that high?
No, it's you're. I mean, that's the equivalent of saying, like, I know Jacob deGrom is going to be healthy and Jacob deGrom, and in an auction I'm going to spend $130 on him. Yeah. That's not. You can't do that. It hamstrings the rest of your team.
Yeah, 555 is a lot. Like, I don't want to get too derailed here because we are supposed to go a little bit quicker through these names here. But Taylor Ward, he's playing every day. I like him a lot. I had to try to convince Colin. He wasn't in, but he went 87 in our league. So I talked Colin up a few dollars more because he didn't really like him, and we were third there as well. So as much as I liked Taylor Ward, it seems my like was not nearly enough. The community was out there going ham. I didn't have room for him in TGFBI, unfortunately, and Sammy Reed got him for 24. That's the one area where my bids, my dollars that I was putting out would have gotten him. But because I have Haniger on the COVID IL and Flaherty on the regular IL, I just didn't have a cut that I felt comfortable with. Maybe I should have cut not Harrison Bader, Mike Moustakas for him. But I just didn't do that. But I really do like Taylor Ward. I think there's a lot to like here. He's been excellent in AAA when he's played. He was pretty good last year. I would be adding him in 12s as well. And I'd consider him in 10s with 5 outfielders. What do you think? Taylor Ward,
Yeah,
five
I,
outfielders.
I think I would. I mean, if it, like you mentioned, it seems like Madden really, really likes him. And the one thing he's not doing, obviously super small sample, but I mean, you look at what he did last year too in the majors and the minors ward. He didn't strike out a ton, which is not something that Adell and Marsh can say.
Correct.
So I think Adell, he started to hit. He hit a couple bombs over the weekend, so maybe that helps his case. But I think Adell really has to hit to stay up because his defense is still atrocious.
It's been rough. Fishbowl is nicked right now. It doesn't look like it's going to be long for Trout, but that will help keep all 3 in right now: Ward, Adell, and Marsh. But Marsh and Adell got to be looking over their backs because, to Madden's word, they are in a platoon right now once Trout comes back. Santiago Espinal was a pretty high pickup. He's playing every day at second base, and this is mostly for main events, so that's 15 teams. But what do you think about Santiago Espinal? Is some cheap batting average? Is he somebody that piqued your interest this week?
Yeah, I put on some kind of cheaper bids on him, especially in places I need a third baseman, which were a number of places, unfortunately, for my teams. But I don't think he's anything special, but it's clear the Blue Jays like him and like him more than Biggio right now. So
good lineup, playing every day, has some value, right?
He's got a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed, which means he could get a crank and gank or a pound and poach or a smash and dash.
Smash and dash is good too. Yeah, these are all good.
A pipe and swipe.
Pipe and swipe. Okay.
A rake and snake.
Yep.
And my personal favorite, a boink and yoink.
A boink. Okay, those are all good. I still think combo meal is the best.
I agree.
No to reinvent the wheel, but those are good.
What happens when you say combo meal is in your head, the song goes off.
Exactly. And so if you didn't listen to the 06010, the Fantasy Focus, which is now unfortunately dead, that they made it up. And so all credit to them. I'm using it, in honor of that. I'm not pretending that we made it up, but I think having a universal name for it is the right way to go. So combo meal, Sammy, amazing job. Those are all truly fantastic. I'm sticking with combo meal though. Espinal is a deep league play. I don't really think I can get there in 12s and especially 10s.
No.
But I think 15s and deeper, I do like Espinal.
Yeah.
For your third base issues, did you consider Maikel Franco?
I did.
He's also playing every day with your boy Carter Kieboom out for the year. Franco has ascended. I've fallen for Franco 5 trillion times over his career. I actually did not have a need for him this week, so I was bypassing. What's up with Maikel Franco, and did you land him anywhere?
I think I landed him in one spot. He was a cheap option, and
Justin, how is he not 30 yet? How is he only 29?
It's insane, right?
He's been in the league for 32 years.
Yeah. I mean, this was for those who don't remember having been playing fantasy long enough. Like, this was like the spring hero every year.
Every year.
He had like 7 home runs in spring, and everybody would go crazy. And they, and this is the year Mike Moustakas was Maikel Franco before Maikel Franco. Moustakas ended up actually being good at one point,
but it took a little time. Right. And I don't think it's coming for Maikel Franco. He does have 320 homer seasons in his career, but the last one was 2018. Do you think he can get 30? Like, can he play all year with the Nats and get 20 plus?
Who else is going to play?
Bingo. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
They clearly do not like Luis Garcia. No. I don't even know that Garcia can even play
third. I heard that they'd rather have the relief pitcher Luis Garcia playing third than their own
ridiculous
player.
Like, I mean, dude's like 22 years old, and you refuse to play him.
I know.
You're playing Alcides Escobar and Maikel Franco over him,
and Cesar Hernandez, who's like not bad. I'm not dogging.
Yeah, I love Cesar. Like Cesar's fine, but like,
you got 3 older dudes that are blocking off Sanchez or Garcia. Excuse me.
It's almost if like the guy who was running the Rockies is now somehow running the Nationals.
Yep. It is some Rockies shit.
It's weird.
So Franco, just a solid fill-in, little bit of batting average, a little bit of pop.
Yeah, I mean, and right now, and I mean, right now he's only striking out 23% of the time, which is actually a career high for him.
I know.
That should probably come down. But he's hitting 275. There is pop in that bat. It's a good park to play in. And unless he gets hurt or they bring someone in, which I just can't imagine they're going to bring someone in. Like, I think his playing time's pretty safe. Kieboom, I know they're trying to avoid Tommy John surgery, but it sounds like that's where he's likely headed. And while that's not devastating like it is for a pitcher, it would put him out for the rest of the season. So I'm not expecting Kieboom to play.
I thought he was already getting TJ, but
so they're doing the rest in PRP injections and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, in deeper formats, obviously this is just deeper formats for right now, but it's a good park. And I mean, he's bouncing kind of on the bottom half of the lineup, but he's hit fifth a few times.
Yeah. So he's fine. And honestly, I've talked about it a bunch. The top half of that lineup is the part that I like, which means if they're on base a bunch, Maikel Franco could be a sneak RBI guy. And in
my long-term dynasty league, I was looking for a third baseman. Mm-hmm. It's a 16-team league, standard rosters. So I mean, pretty similar to a 15-team league.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I went to the player page over on CBS where he hosts the league, and just sorted by at bats just to see. Yeah. And there were 6 guys that had at bats at third base.
Oh my God.
I was
not six considerations that you liked. Six guys.
Total guys. I mean, it's same type of thing. If Javi Baez in that league did the same thing at second base. It was 7 guys. Beggars can't be choosers. If you're in a deep league, you need a third baseman. I mean, he's playing every day.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. I'm with the Maikel Franco deeper leagues. Let's go to Josh Naylor. I actually kind of put him in a little bit of the Taylor Ward camp, in that I think the team really likes him and he's going to play, and it is going to complicate some things. He did play 2 of the first 3 games off the IL, and 2 of those were against lefties. He sat the one on Sunday, which was probably just a normal off day, plus the fact that it was a lefty made it easy. But he did start against a lefty day 1, and then against a righty the next day. Josh Naylor himself is a lefty. That's why it's important to mention that his first game against a lefty mattered. So they're having all the breakouts, right? Stephen Kwan, Owen Miller, Oscar Mercado, all on Cleveland, all vying for playing time. I think Naylor complicates things even more and could really hamper Mercado. I think Naylor and Owen Miller are at the top of that pecking order, with Mercado, Bobby Bradley, and even Andres Jimenez against lefties feeling the brunt there. How do you feel about Josh Naylor coming back from that broken leg? He's a player I really, really like. I was after him this weekend too, and I got him in a few spots.
Yeah, I want to say Shelly and I got him in the tag team league.
I got him in our main 37-11. So I put in, and I knew I was going to be aggressive. I figured I would win it by a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that nobody else was getting him. I really like Josh Naylor.
I like Naylor a lot, especially when you keep knives out of the dugout.
Correct.
Yeah, for those that don't know, he stabbed a teammate during a prank. The other guy did not. The other guy did not think it was a prank. I mean, I think he's got some contact ability. We know he's got power in the bat. Sometimes you like to pick up guys that you just want to root for. And coming off of that devastating leg injury last year, he was starting to heat up and really cement playing time. There's plenty of opportunity for him in Cleveland. It's weird, a few weeks ago we were like, oh, of course Kwan or Zimmer is going to play because there's nobody in this outfield, and all of a sudden now we got to figure out where Mikado is going to play after he's had 2 big home runs.
I know, it's the crunch is nuts, and like I said, I think the sneak hit is if you're an Andres Jimenez believer, and I know you've been a big fan, I think he's done against lefties right now. Until things settle, Miller's taking that lefty position, and then Naylor's, even though he's a lefty, he's going to play first. Bradley sits, and then Mercado gets in the outfield that way. So I think that's what we're looking at right now. Mercado only has the homers. Almost, he has 6 hits total. 3 of them are homers. 188 average, but a 150 BABIP. So we'll see. But he seems to be.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Naylor sit more against lefties, especially early on. He did miss a long period of time because of that leg issue. So
who though?
For Machado and Jimenez staying in. Now, I think that
Jimenez is sat against every lefty. I don't see it.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I'm wrong.
They had 3 lefties in the last 4 games. He sat against all of them. I think they're straight platooning them. And Miller jumps to second, and then against a righty, Miller goes back to first. Naylor goes to the outfield. So it's going to be tough. It's something to keep an eye on. I'm not trying to dismiss you out of hand. I'm just saying the early pattern is that
Jimenez, you might be right. I mean, if that's the early pattern, then yeah, that's brutal. I don't have Jimenez in a lot of spots this year, but that was mostly like because I just missed out. There's always somebody in my league that was a little bit higher on him than I was. So
yeah. I was afraid that I doomed myself with my Paul Blackburn tweet on Saturday night after another good outing, this time in Toronto. And so I went pretty high. I kind of psyched myself into like, well, what if people try to push me up because I put that tweet out or whatever. So I ended up overpaying in our main by a decent bit, 86-13. I don't regret it. I really like what we're seeing here. I don't know if it's real. I fully grant that it's 2 starts, but the velo's up. Cutter, curveball and changeup usage both up 10 points. He's attacking more. 71% first pitch strike rate is up 16 points. He's doubled his swinging strike rate. He gets Baltimore. Then he has to go to San Francisco in a 5-game week the week after that. Don't love that. But I said buy in 12s and 15s, and I'm watch listing Paul Blackburn in 10s. So I put my money where my mouth is. I went out and bought him. And Colin and I wanted him too. We put up 88. He went for 131 in our
league. There were some leagues where he went very aggressive. Teams went very aggressive on him.
That's why I didn't regret my bid in our main because I was like, in a lot of leagues, I wouldn't even want him.
Does it make you feel any better that I was the backup bid?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I only put $13, but as you can see, if you scroll down, I got Dalton Jeffries for $13 because I just put all my.
Those were your 13. Yeah.
I did $13.
Did you put Irvin at 13 just to complete the A's?
I believe I did, yeah. So
that's hilarious.
I was not the backup bid on Irvin, but yeah, I think Blackburn looks legitimate. I mean, I don't know how long it sticks around for. It seems like he made real changes and they're sticking, but
yeah,
if he turns back into a pumpkin, I'm not going to be surprised either.
Exactly, and I grant that, and that's why I couldn't get to triple digits, but I mean, $86 is still a pretty decent investment, but it's saying, hey, I like him. I believe. So
it's
I went
still almost 10% of your FAB. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. What about Josh Staumont? We've been seeing an interesting pattern with the Scott Barlow usage. I think we've talked about it a couple of times about how he's coming in the 8th, but in those situations, it wasn't necessarily a save situation yet. And I think one of his saves is a 2-inning. Oh no, he doesn't have a save yet. Oh wow,
he got a win.
That's right. It was a win on the opening day one, right? That's right. So he's coming in the 8th or earlier 3 of his 4 games. Scott Barlow has. Meanwhile, Josh Staumont, people saying, well, is he the guy then? He has their only save so far. So people were going for him this week. He's pitched 7th, 9th, 7th, and 8th, and then 9th so far. And he got the save on Saturday for Josh Staumont. Were you in on Josh Staumont bidding? And do you believe that he is the primary guy right now?
I was not
have a set guy.
Yeah. I don't think there is a guy in Kansas City. And I think Matheny has been pretty upfront about that there really isn't a guy. This week it might be Staumont. Next week it might be Brent's.
If there's 2 out of 3 lefties, it could be Garrett too. There's 3 lefties coming up, or 2 out of 3, something like that.
So he didn't even factor. I was looking for saves on a number of leagues, and he didn't even flat factor into the equation.
Really?
For me.
How come though? If you think he can get saves?
Because I don't want 1/3 of the saves in Kansas City. I'd rather take the gamble that I'm getting 100% of the saves somewhere else.
Which you did with a name that I didn't originally include, but I will here. I'm going to add it right now. Yeah. So Robles, I think he's actually kind of the guy. And again,
I think he is too.
It could be a lefty situation that Diekman comes in, but I don't think Diekman cares about closing, so he's certainly not going to be like advocating for himself, which doesn't always work, by the way. But I'm just saying, like, he's not saying give me the ball. He's saying give me the ball whenever, and that makes life easier if you do have somebody who's a little bit sore about not getting the ninth. They could complicate it, even though managers don't, go off of that too much. But you don't want to create any tensions. Diekman does not care when he pitches. Hansel Robles has their most recent save. So you went after him. Do you think he's the guy?
I do. At least the guy for right now. I think they do want to get Barnes back into that role at some point. But Barnes is also garbage, so which is a problem. He's struggling really badly so far. Down nearly 2 miles an hour, walking everybody, no swinging strikes. It's not literally zero, but very few. If Barnes gets right, then I think at some point they give it back to Barnes. But I think right now it's Robles. And do I think Boston is a great team? No, but they're a good team. And I'd rather have the guy that has the job right now on a good team than a guy who might have the job on a bad team in Kansas City.
Sure.
So, I was aggressive on Robles. I mean, he was my most picked up player this week. And I went as high as $80-something on him in leagues. And some leagues got him for really cheap, like $15-16, which will be.
I feel like I'm never in those leagues where the guy that I really want goes cheap. Why am I not in the league where Taylor Ward went for freaking $20-something? I mean, I guess I was in one of them, TGFBI, but I didn't bid on him. So maybe that's just it. It's when I don't bid is when they come in cheap. I hear you on the Robles love because I don't think it's really Diekman. As I understand people bidding on Diekman because I think he'll get occasional saves, but I do think Robles has a chance to be the guy.
There were a couple leagues where I picked up both.
Just to see. And I'm starting Robles this week and I've got Diekman on my bench, just in case. Oh, okay. Diekman comes out and saves, 3 games this week and it wasn't a platoon situation. Okay, Diekman's the guy. I've got him too, but for the most part I was prioritizing Robles because he's looked good. He's on a good team where he appears to be the front runner, and he's done it before, which is always a thing managers like, is a guy who's done it before. Yeah, he got 14 saves just last year, Robles did. So I understand why people were in on him. You know who the big closer guy was for people, though, even though you didn't agree, and I tend to side with you on this as far as the prices that people were paying for Héctor Neris. Ryan Pressly went on the IL with the leg, with the knee that he had surgically repaired recently. And I guess people are maybe reading deeper into that and thinking that it's a big issue, but it seems all the reports suggest that it's going to be more of a short-term situation. So I was surprised by some of the bids we saw on Neris, who is going to be the guy while he's out, but for what, 2-3 weeks, and you're putting triple digits? That feels aggressive. And I know we are always cautious on timetables. The Jason Collette rule, 2x them or add multiple weeks. We're all about that. But I thought some of the Neris bids, he wasn't available in our main together, but some of the other ones I saw, like he went for 127 in mine and Collins with a 127 backup, a legit tie. And I'm just thinking triple digits for Neris feels a bit hefty for what could be a 2-3 week situation. What did you think about Neris?
I will see your 127 and raise you a 201 in my TGFBI league and a 186 in Barf. And he went, I think, 54 in my other main and 49 in my auction championship. People got aggressive on him, which I understand because, like, if Pressly is out long term, then Neris becomes a really, really attractive.
Absolutely, he becomes closer. A G. But all the news says that that's not the case. That he's already feeling better. That he's working. He's going to be back in 2 weeks. And I don't know.
Here's my issue, and this is something because there were some people in the industry, some really smart people that are way better fantasy players than me in the industry that really talked up Neris coming into the season and were drafting him in a lot of spots because they thought that Pressly might not end up being the closer, prior to the extension that Pressly got. And my kind of pushback on that was, Neris has never really been great. He's always shown, he's always shown flashes, but he's never been the guy who can hold down the job and be the guy. So like, why did we think that was going to happen in Houston?
2019 was pretty good. 28 saves, 293 ERA, 102 WHIP, but some ups and downs. Like that first time he was a closer, he had a 126 WHIP. I get you.
He's just never been elite, and like I don't know.
Been fully
Presley.
Trusted, where they just
Presley was fully trusted and elite last year.
I agree.
And so I bid on him. I got him in that dynasty league I was mentioning a minute ago as hopefully a tradable asset, but I don't know that he's going to be closing long enough to trade. I think if you invested this in him, you have to just hold on to him and hope that Presley gets re-injured.
If you cut Neris in 2 weeks after a triple-digit bid, I think you're making a mistake. Yeah. If you bid that much on him, you have to be feeling like, okay, I'm going to ride this out for a while to see if this knee becomes a consistent issue with Presley, and I might have a closer.
I just don't understand it when there were so many other good potential closing options out there.
Yep, and all the news said Presley's going to come back quickly.
Yeah.
So I agree. What about Jhoan Duran in Minnesota? I know a lot of people believe that he will eventually be the closer. Right now he's being used in that setup role, and he looks amazing. He's had a couple times where that second inning, he's given up a couple runs. In Boston specifically, he gave up a couple homers. One was a pesky pull job that wasn't crazy. He still has 11 strikeouts in his 6 innings of work, and that's what's really drawing people. How do you feel about Jhoan Duran, both as a pickup this week and long term? Do you believe he can be the closer in the future? The future being this year, not a year or two down the line.
I mean, technically, he leads the Twins in saves right now.
Because he has 0 and nobody has any.
Nobody has any saves.
True.
So
Griffin Jack's also tied for that lead.
Yes. Also Derek Rodriguez and Josh Winder. I think he has amazing skills, and I think if the Twins wanted to make him a closer, he would be electric and fantastic in the role. I don't think the Twins are going to do that, though. Like, I feel like the Twins, this has the makings of a committee, and if it's not, I think they're going to give other guys opportunities first, like Tyler Duffy, who blew a save, Emilio Pagan, who will blow saves. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, he could end up being the guy at some point, but I think we're going to have to wait a while. That being said, like, he is a fantastic pitcher to watch. He watching him the other day against Seattle, like the Seattle announcers were like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, who is this dude?
Can they please take him out of the game so we have a chance here? It was great commentary from the opposing announcers.
He had 4 strikeouts in those 2 innings on that one. And that's the thing. Even if Duran isn't closing, I think he's got for sure main event viability as a middle reliever. And I think maybe even some 12-teamers, especially with the state of starting pitching right now. I think 2 innings a couple times a week with multiple strikeouts, the way he's been doing, like I said, 11 strikeouts in 6 innings. I think that is valuable enough to roster in some 12-teamers. Now it's going to go to our old adage of maybe he doesn't belong on your roster because your team is too good for you, but he probably belongs on somebody's roster in a 12-teamer, if not a couple different teams. So I like Jhoan Duran. I just wasn't trying to buy the hype.
I like him in daily pickup leagues, where you can just leave him in your roster and cycle through like 10-teamers or 12-teamers, where you could just cycle through starters. And just use him every day, but cycle through your starters. Like I think it's a viable strategy, especially like your head-to-head categories leagues and stuff like that. So, and points leagues.
Char said she drafted Duran with her last pick in the main.
Nice.
So she didn't have to pay for the fab.
That was smart. She saved her energy when she was supposed to be chasing birds.
I was chasing those birds. Shut up, Justin. I was getting those birds. If they had come down to the ground, I would have killed them. All right, next up, Roensie Contreras. I want to talk about him over in Pittsburgh. He was a chic sleeper pick and not a wide awake. He was actually a legit sleeper pick, cheap, had his believers as a potential starter this year. He's not starting yet, but I think for the first, I know we've been trying to will this into existence as a fantasy community for 4 or 5 years now, ever since Ryan Yarbrough got the 16 wins back in 2018. We've been looking for the next Ryan Yarbrough, an actual follower who can pick up a huge amount of wins. I think now we have several contenders for that. We have Garrett Whitlock in Boston. We have Spencer Strider in Atlanta. And we have, even Jhoan Duran might be close to that guy with his multiple innings. But Rosie Contreras is another one of those guys who I think is going to be in that 3 to 5 inning relief role for a while now. And I know, Pittsburgh's not a great team for wins, but you're in a better position to get wins when you're doing your 3 to 5 innings in the middle than at the beginning, because if you go fewer than 5, obviously you can't even get a win when you start. So how do you feel about Roensie Contreras being in that middle role there? He did get his first win with 3 1-hit innings and 5 strikeouts against Washington, and that's what kind of brought him back on the radar this week. What do you think of Roensie Contreras in Pittsburgh?
I think he's really, really impressive. And as long as the walks don't become an issue, I think he'll be fine. He does not give up home runs, and he pitches in PNC, which is a great place to pitch anyways. So I think even if he does walk guys, while there'll be the occasional blow up here and there, I think he'll probably be fine most of the time because he's got great stuff and he doesn't give up the long ball. There's another guy in Pittsburgh doing the same thing very quietly. And so if Roensie is already rostered, Will Crow has been really, really good.
Yes.
Doing the exact same thing. I kind of like what they're doing in Pittsburgh. They clearly don't have the starters that can go deep into games, and they're saying, hey, we're going to take these young guys, we're going to let them stretch out in the bullpen. I think at some point they become full-fledged starters this year.
For sure. Possibly even this year. I totally agree.
But right now, I love that they're giving these guys the opportunity to just be bulk guys in the bullpen. If Contreras is available, even in 10 and 12s, I would be grabbing him because I think there's a ton of upside here.
I think he's basically like a lot of lower tier starters that you might be considering anyway. And again, they're in better win positions, Strider, Contreras, and Whitlock, doing it as a reliever as opposed to starting and only going 3 or 4 innings. So I agree with you. Definitely some consideration. Rank those 3: Strider, Whitlock, Contreras.
Whitlock, Contreras, Strider.
I think I agree because I'm much more confident that Contreras starts at some point this year than I am Strider. And so that's the edge there. Otherwise on talent, I can barely split them. I love all 3. I think they're all 3 badass. So, okay. Let's move on to Miles Michaelis. He's returning and looking pretty good so far. He's got that amazing defense. He couldn't be better with a better team. They've mastered their rotation to fit with this defense with Waino, Michaelis, Matz, and Hudson. They knew what they were doing. They made such good moves there to build that defense for their staff. How do you feel about Michaelis? Can he get back on track? He had that breakout year in 2018. He was okay the following year, pretty solid 4.16 ERA, 122 WHIP. That's kind of what we expected more than the 2.83 ERA from 2018. But injuries have been the biggest issue since. He missed all of 2020, only 44 2/3 last year, but he looks pretty sharp so far this year. Are you in on Miles Michaelis? And by the way, he's actually not getting the ground balls, weirdly enough. But
I was about to say, this is.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm a little worried about the profile at the moment.
That part's a little weird.
My streaming picks on the Roto Write-Up have not been great yet. And he is my streaming pick, I think, for tomorrow.
Okay.
Is that right? And that looking a little bit under the hood, I'm a little concerned.
Yes, Wednesday at Miami.
So it's a good matchup, but he's got a 28% ground ball percentage and a 56% fly ball percentage.
That is uncharacteristic as heck.
Yeah, especially because he's still giving up about 88% contact in the zone.
Ooh.
And 90% contact on the ground, though I'm sure those will turn into, either easy fly balls or cheap grounders. So Yeah, I mean, it's good to see him pitching well. I think that defense and the park plays really well. And we are seeing, Jason's been talking a lot about this, like how dead the ball is so far this year. And that some of this, we're seeing an increase in barrels and exit velocities be about the same as they were last year, but we're seeing less home runs as a result. And so
we got humidors everywhere, so that's part of it too.
Yeah, so it seems like combination between humidors and just whatever ball they're using this year is lining up for us to not have as much offense, which MLB I'm sure will change that at some point because they like offense. And as the weather heats up and gets more humid, we'll see a little bit more offense. But yeah, I think you want to be careful of the matchups, and especially if he's pitching in a bad park. But like I said, he pitches in St. Louis, which is a great place to pitch. He's, I think, pitching at Miami in the next start, so which is a great place to pitch. 2-start, where are they both at home?
The 2-start for Michaelis will be Mets and Arizona at home. Yes.
Yes, and even if they were away, those are 2 good places to pitch as well. So I'm going to ride with him for right now. I think in shallow formats, 10s, it's kind of hard because he doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. But I can understand it if you want to ride with it, especially on a decent 2-start.
And if you got crazy Ks and you can afford to just go for the ratios for Michaelis, I say go for it that way, even in the shallower formats. What about Brad Keller? Speaking of guys that don't get a ton of strikeouts, but off to a good start. Strikeouts might be ticking up as well. I mean, they already are at 22%, but that's only 2 points off of last year, which was 20%. The real thing, though, is a 12% swinging strike rate, which is easily a career high. He's a career 9% guy, Brad Keller is. So are you buying into some of this early success here? He has 4 distinct pitches right now because he has 2 different fastballs, 4-seamer and sinker. There's a lot, at least in these first 2 outings from Brad Keller, that look pretty sharp. And he has increased use of his changeup, plus 9 points up to 14%, which is really driving some early success against lefties. 206 OPS in 25 plate appearances. I think he's a standard streamer in 10s, but I think he's a team streamer in 12s and 15s. What do you think of Brad Keller's early success?
Again, another guy giving up a lot of zone contact, 92% zone contact.
129.
Yes, and however, though, 21% hard hit percentage.
Oh, so
it's hard contact percentage. So it's a lot of weak contact. A lot, over 20% soft contact and over 50% medium contact. So this is why this hasn't translated into bad hit or home runs or bad hits. Like he's only given up 3 barrels, which is not bad considering the shortened season so far. But this definitely has the makings to turn as the weather gets warmer and the balls start flying a little bit more.
That's fair.
I think he's only a streamer when he's at home or in a good ballpark. But the Central is a great place to pitch against. So Keller is a guy I want to kind of pick and choose my spots with, but I'm not ignoring.
Standard streamer, right? Yeah, that's standard stream in there for Brad Keller. And I think in 12s and 15s, I'd rather not cut him back into the pool, hence the team streamer tag, because if there is some realness here, I'm not getting him back. Or I'm paying a lot more to get him back. So I'm going to keep Brad Keller around right now. Even on the starts, I'm not using him, and hopefully have the space to reserve him. He gets a trip to Seattle this week and then a trip to the White Sox next week. So, 2 decent teams or 1 really good team in the White Sox. So that'll be a big challenge for him. But I do like the start in Seattle this week for Brad Keller. What about Jordan Hicks? Very surprising 5th starter announcement for the Cards. We know the health concerns. He's been, I think he's relieved a couple times a couple of 2-inning relief appearances so far. They haven't needed the 5th starter just yet.
Well, he was supposed to start, and then they had the postponement.
Oh, that's right.
And they didn't want to skip him, and so he came in and did a 2-inning stint to make sure he stayed on schedule. I like Hicks a lot. However, it's really hard to roster a starter that's only going 2 innings.
This goes back to our point about the Contreras. Like if he was in the Contreras Strider role, thumbs up.
You could legitimately say he is the number 1 guy if he out of that group.
Absolutely.
If he's a follower, but he's not a follower right now. They are letting him start, which makes him kind of unusable in pretty much every format right now. Because all you can get is blown up. You might get 4 or 5 strikeouts in 2 innings, which is great. But the potential downside without the upside of getting a win or a quality start in your quality start league. So no one should be playing quality start leagues anymore. That should just end.
They kind of died before they really took over because of how few quality starts. If you play both quality start plus wins, I think that you can do that.
And
but
there are sites like Fantrax where you can change the parameters to a quality start.
That's pretty cool. I do
highly recommend.
Like 5 innings, 1 or 2 runs, I think could be considered a quality start.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can't go too deep on that right now. So Hicks, I agree with you. I wish he was in that role right now. I understand reserving him though, at least just to see what's up because the talent is so robust. So if you can afford to kind of hold through this and see what's going on, he gets his first start this week against Miami. Jordan Hicks does on Thursday in Miami. And then that would set up for a 2-step next week, Mets and Arizona, similar to Michaelis. So hold, but I'm not starting right now because I agree with you that in a starter's role, fewer than 5 innings is worthless or pretty worthless unless the ratios are perfect. Now this is the moment you've been waiting for. I'm sure you saw this name on the sheet. And
I didn't until just a minute ago, and I started to blush. I don't know if you saw my face getting a little red. Yeah.
Your boy, man. It's 10 innings, but oh my God, Andrew Heaney looks amazing.
Let's go.
It's so nice when a plan comes together, right? You think Andrew Heaney has talent, has been inconsistent as hell, has been injured as hell, goes to the best team in the universe, right? I know you hate to admit that, but like as far like your team would also be a good one to go to too. If you had gone to the Giants, I
wanted my team to get him. When they signed Alex Cobb, I was like, no, you were supposed to get Andrew Heaney. Or actually, I think it was Heaney before Cobb. Yeah, I mean, Cobb's working out well too. So
exactly.
I was hoping they would get an Andrew Heaney, but the Dodgers are the next best option for his fantasy value.
So what do we think? He was a huge pick for this year's Robbie Ray. I think that was even your pick.
It was Jason's pick.
Oh, Jason's pick. So it made a lot of sense, right? A veteran who has shown some success, maybe not the same heights as Ray, but a veteran lefty who's going dirt cheap that you're like, this guy's not going to be that good. I'm not saying he's going to win the Cy Young, but he looks amazing so far. 40% strikeout, 8% walk rate, 21% swinging strike. I know it's 10 innings, but oh my God, that's so spicy. 0 ERA and a .68 whip. Gush a little bit about your boy, Andrew Heaney.
I mean, everybody knows if you've been following my work for a really long time, like, I've been in on Andrew Heaney. There are some concerning parts about. Have you watched the starts yet?
I actually haven't. No. So
go watch the starts.
Rundown. Okay.
He's added a new slider, which is amazing. It is
sweeper,
filthy. Right? Yes. Yeah. It is really, really good, and I think it's a large part of the reason for his success. But this is not a Robbie Ray breakout, because he's not.
I just want to point out, Jay Jaffe did an article about Heaney and the sweeper. So that's on the front page as of yesterday. Check that out, folks.
I'm going to go check that out. I have not read it yet, but I do watch all of his starts because I love Andrew Heaney. He still has issues with command in the zone, and they are apparent. They have not been taken advantage of yet. So there are going to be like 3 homer games that come and play. See, if you think this is like the full breakout, it's not here. It is not. And as much as I want it to be here as an Andrew Heaney believer, my honest opinion is there are going to be games where his command and his control are inconsistent from start to start. However, I think there are going to be a ton of strikeouts, and I think things will be better than they have been.
But if anyone's going to be, for you to be directly honest like that, not just rose colored and be like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. I think it actually, I appreciate that you're not just going to be, let's just be super, over the top about this. By the way, I should have known that covering all these key ads is going to take up our whole hour. We'll do the shallow cuts. And in fact, it's probably better anyway. We'll get a few more days of data. So we'll do the shallow league cuts on Friday. Our last guy here, MacKenzie Gore, had his debut. And, the big issue was big spring. Oh, my God, he's going to make the team. This is awesome. Oh, no, they went and got Sean Manaea. There's no room at the inn. However, two big injury guys on their team happened to get hurt almost simultaneously with Clev Dog and Snell. Blake Snell and Mike Clevenger get hurt. So it's MacKenzie Gore time. He comes up. Pretty solid debut, all things considered. It's Atlanta, so I'm not judging him too harshly on the fact that it was fine. 5 1/3, 3 hits, 2 walks, a homer, 2 earned, and 3 strikeouts. Would have liked to see a little bit more of the swing and miss with a 7% swinging strike rate, but surviving in your season debut or MLB debut against the world champs, I'm okay with that from MacKenzie Gore. I think the real question is, what kind of time do we have here? That's why I didn't go crazy with my bids. Because
some people did, though.
I know. And so what are we doing there? Were you one of the ones who went nuts with your MacKenzie Gore bids?
I did not, because I think Snell's gonna be back pretty quick. I think Clevenger's gonna be out a while.
Okay.
They seem to be taking it really, really slow with him, and Bob Melvin kind of echoed those sentiments. So I think there's a real chance he does stay in the rotation for a while. Maybe they move to like a 6-man type thing once Snell comes back. But he was really, really impressive in spring and really impressive in his first start. I want to go back and rewatch this start because some of the things that point out to me that I didn't quite notice maybe in the initial start is it like a really poor plan.
Like his game plan or the catcher?
Maybe the catcher's game plan. Like he was not very aggressive in the zone, especially early on in counts. His first pitch strike rate was like under 50%. Like he was kind of nibbling a lot. And so I don't know if this was hesitancy on his part or hesitancy on the catcher's part, but I'm really interested to see his second start here coming up and kind of what their plan of attack is and if he's able to execute because there's clearly a ton of talent. I mean, this is a former second or third prospect of baseball at one point.
Gore's supposed to be a G. He gets Cincinnati on Wednesday at home, and then next week we don't know because Snell could be back. And I will say, regarding Clevenger, he is on rehab, but I think it could be an extend pretty much take the whole time. He only had 2 innings the first time. He's going to get another one this week, so he could get 4 or 5 starts in that rehab situation. Clevenger could. So with Gore. What
I'd pick him up in all formats.
Okay, he's an all formats guy, but what would you do fab wise then in like a 10 or 12 where he's still available?
Probably not much. Probably not more than 5% of my fab remaining.
Yeah, and you might not get him, but you have to be comfortable with like, hey, there's going to be another guy. I like Gore too, but. I'd rather take the discount on Lodolo between the two, just because people were probably
Lodolo looked a lot better last night.
He looked so much better last night, and people were probably sore on him from that debut. And it's like, and he gets the Dodgers, so they're probably like, oh God, I don't want him. So if you're in a daily league and Lodolo's available, or San Diego, not the Dodgers, but against San Diego, I'm like, okay, that's a lot more impressive. Yeah. So I love Gore. I'm really excited about his return after last year's yips and things not going well. But I think you have to be careful because even if they go to a 6-man, that could be for Clev and Snell.
Yeah.
And
there's no guarantee they will.
Exactly.
He could just be down as soon as Snell's back.
Yep. And he'll be back up at some point. Like, it's a long-term thing. But in your shallower leagues, you can't be holding Gore.
They should just make him long, man. They should just do what they're doing with Contreras and Crow and Strider and all that and keep him because he's too good to be in the minors.
I agree with that for sure with MacKenzie Gore. All right. So those are some key ads for the week. Tried to cover a decent, those were mostly 15s and 12s. But we're going to talk shallow league, folks. We're going to talk potential cuts on Friday. And these are guys that you drafted with some purpose and you probably don't feel good about it. But I think in those leagues, you have to act quicker, and cutting them isn't necessarily an indictment that you hate that guy, but you need production. So we'll get into those on Friday. Justin, I hope you have a good one. And I stayed animal free here. I do have the 2 dogs in here, but no wild animals came in.
You survived. Maybe it's a Friday tradition.
Yeah, Friday tradition. There we go.
I'll make sure the squirrels get there.
And hey, our local aquarium does have 2 otters, so see if they'll send them on over. But anyway, RotoWire is going to call soon. Great talking with you. Talk to you in a couple of days.
Take it easy.